Hello, good morning. Is it morning? Yes, it's 11 o'clock here in the Netherlands on Tuesday, the 29th of April. The last couple of days I've been learning about twin pregnancies and multiple pregnancies in general, including triplets, obviously. And as anybody can see who looks at the Lucy Letby indictment and who looks up what the conditions were of those babies, you'll be struck by the number of twins and the fact that there's also one triplet there. And actually you won't be struck by the fact that there are two more twins. Babies I and J are the surviving sibling of a twin, and their sibling died in utero, possibly even medically aborted to give the other sibling a chance. So that's a lot. Altogether we're talking about 6 mothers in the case, and if you count the babies who died, we're talking about 13 babies, including the babies who died in utero. We're talking about 13 babies of 6 mothers. Now, twins in themselves are not incredibly rare, but this is a surprise. And maybe this proportion of twins in all the births which would occur at Countess of Chester is not very surprising in itself. But what is important is that many of those babies had severe complications connected to the fact of being twins. And one of the most important complications, which is something quite rare, but it seems to have been there in at least 3 of these cases, is what is called twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, which basically means one of the twins is getting blood from the other, is the recipient of a blood transfusion in some sense from their sibling. This only happens with identical twins, and indeed it only happens with identical twins who share a placenta. That can happen, but one placenta for a pair of identical twins is in itself a big risk factor, and TTTS, twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, is something which poses very high risk and which obviously can and should be detected during pregnancy. And through ultrasound, one can find out that this is the case, and one can actually measure the the amounts of blood streaming through various blood vessels, and determine that there is TTTS there. Typically, if the 2 babies are born together, one will be pink and one will be white, because one is getting blood from the other and it's not getting enough. Often one of them will be lower weight than the other for the same reasons. Now, the astonishing thing is that TTTS babies were actually being born at the Countess of Chester. They should be born in a level 3 unit, a level 3 neonatal unit with all modern facilities. And in fact, many of those 6 mothers here actually were receiving their antenatal care. They were booked in to hospitals with level 3 facilities, and one of them in particular was certainly the Liverpool Women's Hospital, where a great deal of research is done on twins. one of the main obstetricians there is a lady called Asma Khalil. She's very successful researcher in the world of twin research. She's more or less the owner of a national twins registry. Twins registries are extremely important in medical research, especially in genetics. I mean, the whole puzzle of determining the distinguishing between nature and nurture is something which is important to understand and learn, and a lot of research is done, and it depends to a large extent on the data in twin registries. Identical twins, well, first thing I've learned is that twins are not the same as just ordinary babies, but two of them. The mere fact of having grown as fetuses, as siblings in one womb, means they are different from ordinary babies. They're different from singleton pregnancy babies, and there are many things to look out for. And in some ways, actually, they can even be stronger and better able to cope with premature birth than singletons. I mean, they've had a kind of a hard time in the uterus, in the womb, and if they manage to survive that up to live birth, then they are probably pretty tough. And these are all interesting things. So, but yes, why the hell were 6 multiple births sent from the hospitals where one would have expected those births to have taken place to the Countess of Chester Hospital? It looks to me like that would have been a death warrant. Honestly, okay. I'm being kind of dramatic here. The Countess of Chester was basically a grotty level 1 unit. It was nominally level 2. It didn't have the facilities or the nurses, or the doctors didn't have the training. Certainly not the specialist knowledge in twins and triplets. I understand there was another triplet born in the period of the indictment, Lucy Letby indictment, who all survived. So, okay, the Countess of Chester managed to have a triplet birth, successful triplet birth from time to time, and even advertised them on their web page. It was the clinical staff there, and probably management too, was only ambitious. They wanted to go up in the world medically, and they wanted to be more than they already were. Unfortunately, they were facing severe funding difficulties, and all the cuts which had been made in the recent years had reduced them basically to a level 1 unit, even though they were nominally level 2, and probably some of the clinicians there had ambitions to go to level 3. Right. What else do I want to say about this here? Well, I basically want to say, read my blog, and in this case, my blog on a WordPress site, which I haven't used very much yet. It's called lucyletby.org, and it's actually a kind of daughter website of another one. It's written at the bottom, I think. No, it's not. I have to go to the here. Tells you what we are. Okay, this is a website set up by myself together with my friend Engel Wichmann, and together we are basically a foundation called Science for Justice, and we have a number of projects, and Lucy Letby was kind of the trigger which led us to build this foundation. In fact, we wanted to use it to help fund Lucy Letby research, and we found that it's actually to support and be a kind of sister organization to Sarita Adams, organization over in California. Okay, that's the whole story about how that went, which I'm not going to talk about that. Now let me go back to lucyletby.org. So, I am there. There's one other post there with basically a version of a talk I've given before, and which actually is also on YouTube. So that's not so interesting at the moment. It's a year old now, so I need to update these things and write new posts because so much has changed. Okay, so here's open letter from a twin mother, and I've been talking to a doula. I didn't know what a doula was till a couple of weeks ago, but that's a lady who assists other ladies in pregnancy and birth, and possibly in the beginning of maternity, assists with starting breastfeeding and so on. And the doula who contacted me, doula, by the way, is a Greek word meaning a female slave. I mean, a female in the household who is a slave, and one of the things that a female slave in the household might do would be assist the mother, obviously, the woman of the house, in matters concerning reproduction, obviously. So my doula here is called Sarah Hawkins. She comes from England, lives in Somerset, I believe, and she has been communicating with me, and she met me the other day, and in this rather long blog post she starts with a little describing our chat in my garden. I won't go into that now, but the one thing I want to emphasize now, because now I see it here in front of me, is, as has been remarked by other people following the Lucy Letby saga, the antenatal care received by the mothers of the babies in the trial, there are medical notes of their antenatal care. Those should have been part of the medical notes looked at by experts. And I imagine that neonatologists or pediatricians kind of look at the medical notes generated at the Countess of Chester, so maybe including the birth, right? Notes from the obstetrician, and from nurses at the giving of birth, and they would obviously refer to things which say or should be known, should be taken as prior information coming from the antenatal health history of mother and babies. Fetal medicine is a big field in itself. It's not quite the same. It's not the same as obstetrics. There are experts in fetal medicine. There are, of course, obstetricians. There are neonatologists. There are pediatricians, and they all different kind of tribes of medical experts. And of course, they all kind of fight a little bit over turf, who's the right person in the right place, and they will all naturally feel that they have expertise beyond their direct specialism. Okay, but anyway, the antenatal care received by the mothers and the antenatal history of the babies, of the fetuses, should have been an essential part of the medical notes reviewed by medical experts involved in that trial. And as far as we know, it wasn't, and hasn't been asked for, hasn't been looked at. No, obviously we can't do that now, but there is a lot of expertise there in very relevant fields. And I wonder if the experts in the trial and for instance, knew much about TTTS and related conditions such as TAPS, TAPS. I'm not going to read to you what it is because it is such a long and technical phrase. Maybe I will see it if I go down here. I should put it in italics. Sorry, this is a long story. I'm telling you it's a long story, and I'd like you to be patient and take the time to read through it. And it's a long story about the experience of a mother of twins, premature identical twins, as well as a story about twin births in general and triplet births, TAPS, twin anemia polycythemia sequence, which I can't even remember what that actually means at the moment. These are rare conditions, but they seem to have been unusually present. And the fact that they were present in babies born at Countess of Chester is, frankly speaking, incredible. Those babies should have been born at a level 3 unit. In particular, one could imagine at a level 3 unit in a hospital specializing on twins and triplets, like Liverpool Women's Hospital, but they weren't. So I'm really saying there's something there which needs to be looked at. I think that there is medical specialists involved in all these births. In the neighbourhood of Chester, so also the Liverpool hospitals, the big Liverpool hospitals. I think they know and must have known, they ought to have known about the conditions in the hospitals where they sent mothers to. If they didn't, that's pretty scandalous. I don't think Countess of Chester was the right place to send these mothers to give birth. Right. So, if you want to find this, just remember lucyletby.org. There are only 3 posts on that website at the moment, and this one is actually the top one. So if you go to, the most recent one. So if you go to lucyletby.org, you will automatically, as I'll show you now, meet that latest post. There it is, you see, and 2 other posts. And I plan to be putting more stuff on here recently in the near future. Sorry, time seems to go reverse a lot from me in the near future. And also, I'm planning to put more posts on our mother site. Our mother's site. All right, it's this one, scienceforjustice.nl. There it is, which at the moment contains a little bit about our foundation itself, and it contains a year-old summary of overview of the evidence in the Lucy Letby case, and a one article about the insulin business. Both of them by now somewhat out of date, right? They're from 2023, it seems, and we're now in 2025, and a lot more is known now. Okay, that's all for now. Bye-bye.